The Israelis are really smart. They baked it into the cake. They knew that we'd be under political pressure. They know that President Trump would want to declare victory and leave. And so they've been able to basically bake in the poison pill through the way that they've been able to influence our official decision making process, their proxies in the media, the think tank world, being able to infiltrate essentially the negotiating team. They're able to keep the nuclear issue front and center, saying that, like, you have to make the Iranians give up all of their enrichment capabilities. Otherwise, they're going to be, within moments of getting 11 nuclear weapons or whatever absurd thing they say, because their goal, and this is going very well for the Israelis. I mean, the Israelis want Iran having to fight us. They want Iran having to defend their own borders. Their whole goal is basically regime decapitation. If chaos ensues, that's fine. I don't believe that the Israelis were ever very serious about having like a cohesive plan for any kind of regime change. The regime change where, like, we take out the regime and then replace it with like a pro-Western regime. Number one, that's a fantasy, but it's also a very American Western fantasy. I think the Israelis are just more realistic than that. They're basically like, take out the guys who want to kill us, who we view as a problem, and if chaos ensues.
I'm sure you guys all know who Joe Ken is by now. But if for those that don't know, this guy used to be the former director of the United States National Counterterrorism Center, which means this guy had the highest level of clearance, and he knew if he's talking, you need to pay attention. He's on the inside. He knows what is going on. On March 18, he resigned. And in his resignation letter, he basically said, this war is not a war the United States should be in. There was no imminent threat from Iran for even the United States to be in. And the main reason the United States have gone into this war is because of Israel and the echo chamber they've created around President Trump. In my other video, I discussed how much Miriam Adamson and others have kind of like shaped who surround Trump and who are around him, who feed him information. And Joe Ken here is seeing basically how they've done it. Because you guy worked in intelligence and he's seeing how the Israeli representative will just bypass the old intelligence and just speak to Trump directly. In this video, he literally exposes the Israeli master plan. Because he knows that Israelis are smart. People like to say, oh, these guys, they don't know what they just like killing. But no, they have their own plan, which is they do not care whoever takes over Iran. They just don't want whoever's in charge now to be in charge, and they want to degrade the whole country. Like, they don't want them to have any kind of power. For example, let's look at Syria. Immediately Bashar al-Assad left for Russia, Israel went in and literally destroyed every single piece of equipment that they could have used to project power outside of their border. Which means the only piece of equipment that they have is basically what they can use to just keep control internally, which then paved the way for Israel to be able to use Syrian airspace to go attack Iran. So you can see there's a massive plan in this already. Israel basically wants to achieve their Greater Israel project, which means uncontested power in the Middle East. And Iran is the last bastion of hope for them achieving this. So they need to break them down. But anyway, guys, I'm going to continue the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Even turn on the notifications so you get notification of my new video posts. I post basically almost every day. And I really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Drop a like and also comment as well. But yeah, let's continue.
Well, that's a problem for the Gulf and not us. And then also, while the Americans are kind of bogged down and fighting and doing the heavy lifting on the war against the main enemy, Iran, then we can go about taking out Hezbollah. We can go about making advances into Lebanon, which is basically what the Israelis are doing right now. The Israelis are also queuing up a future fight against the Turks in Syria. And so this war is going very well for the Israelis, but I think they played their hand very, very well in the sense they know that right now they can put a lot of pressure on President Trump to say, like, you can't leave now. You'll be defeated. You'll be humiliated. This is your legacy, et cetera, et cetera. So I really think President Trump needs to take a step back, get away from the Israelis, obviously, but then also get away from his inner circle that got him here to this point and simply just look at the political environment in America, which I think actually is what he truly cares about. And then he'll see that a lot of people are still going to listen to whatever it is that he says. And if he says we won, then that's going to be the narrative, and he can kind of move on from there. Yeah, this is what I don't understand. And people will say, hey, your resignation letter was deeply conspiratorial. Do you really think that the Israeli lobby has this much control over President Trump? And from what I saw from the inside, they most certainly do that echo chamber I described, of official engagements, the engagements from the donors, the pro-Israel media wings, FDDs kind of, there in the middle as a think tank. But why at this juncture would President Trump feel that he needs, after going ahead and launching this operation against Iran on behalf of the Israelis, why would he feel the need to put a person from the Israeli lobby on the negotiating team? There's really only one answer to that. I mean, that's basically that the donor class, the Israel lobby, gets to pick who goes and negotiates on behalf of the American government. And I hate to say it that way. I don't like that. However, when you've already got Witkoff and Kushner, who are definitely pro Israel, on the negotiating team, we had Vice President Vance there for a bit, but he got pulled off. Him and his team got pulled off, and then we put in a guy from FDD. That's not trying to balance out the negotiating team to put a fresh set of eyes on there,
Right.
or to see if we can foster a better relationship with the Iranian negotiators. That right there points exactly to how much influence the Israeli lobby, whatever you want to call it, the echo chamber, has over our government decision making, and that is a major issue. And I think everybody who voted for President Trump in 24 really needs to let him know that we do not support this.
The question Dana Davis asked was, why did the negotiating team, or Donald Trump in general, added a guy from the FDD? The FDD is the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Their name should be aptly called Foundation for the Defense of Israel, because they don't advocate for anything more than just Israel. And in the current negotiating team, we got J.D. Vance was pulled off, obviously. We got Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Steve Witkoff, according to the Iranians, basically has no idea the technical part of the nuclear negotiation discussion. He has no idea what is going on. He has no experience in diplomacy. And then Jared Kushner, they said they might as well just have Netanyahu sitting on the table there. And then they decide to go add another guy from the FDD. You guys go look up the FDD and you'll say, like, probably this guy, Jonathan Conricus, he's from the FDD as well. We see him on Piers Morgan and so on. Joe Kenner he's just broken down who are on the American side and not the necessary know America first. And he also explains that Israel have their own agenda that necessarily doesn't align with America's agenda and is hurting Americans and also President Trump's term. He likes Trump, but he doesn't support what is going on here. This guy is a war veteran. He's been to Iraq and he's seen that they were just told a bunch of lies to go attack Iraq. That wasn't true. So it just makes you think that if people that are on the inside are actually coming out and saying this, there are other people that I'm sure that are on the inside as well that do not agree with this, but they're too intimidated that they can't talk. Like the president White House has just been hijacked. That's my opinion. But anyway, guys, please drop a like on the video if you found it interesting. Thank you very much for watching. And also don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.